You're listening to Digital Marketing Mondays. Each week, we bring you new and exciting content from around the marketing industry and help give you, the marketer, insights into what's happening. We'll offer our advice and share some takeaways to help you develop better strategies for your marketing. Ideally, this will also help you improve your ROI as well. So with that, let's tune into this week's episode.
Well, hey, Devin, nice to see you this morning. I think
Hey there, Hans.
it's nice to see your wife dressed you as mine did me this morning. It turns out you're like the Bobbsey twins here.
Yeah, they must have called each other and made sure we were wearing the same thing today. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So our topic this morning is about title tags, and there's some news from Google that I want to mention. But first, a quick review here. I'm as the older guy here. I'm the historian of the company to some degree. I was doing SEO before it was even called SEO. We were just worried about showing up on Yahoo because Google didn't exist yet.
What's Yahoo?
So that Yahoo, yeah, that's how old I am. But title tags have always been a very, very important topic for doing SEO. To me, it's sort of like a primary. It's like the first place you look, and that's for a couple of reasons. One is, the thinking has always been that as ranking signals go, putting a keyword in your title tag or two keywords, that's like the best place to put it because it tells Google, it's sort of telling Google what your website is about. So if you want to rank for that keyword, the best place to put it is right in your homepage title tag. Secondly, Google has traditionally, if you look at the search results, you want click-through rates. It's like writing an ad, right? So you want your search result listing, your organic listing, to be attractive to people, so they will click on it. And so the nice thing has been that you could write a title tag, and Google was almost 100% of the time would take that title tag verbatim and use it as the headline on your organic listing for when your page did show up on the organic listings. And then, of course, the meta description tag was used to write the body copy that goes below the headline. And so therefore, you'd be kind of like the same as writing a Google ad. And you'd have the liberty to kind of craft it the way you want it. Now, Google was less, reliable about utilizing the description tag verbatim, but for the headline, they almost always use the title tag. And now we hear news that Google's going to change all of this. So that's what we're going to talk about today. What is coming? And what does it mean to people who care about, what kind of keywords they rank for and wanting their organic listings to look clickable to people and draw a high click-through rate. So what's the upshot of this? Can you tell us?
Yeah, and actually this is something Google has already been experimenting now at the time of this recording, have been experimenting with for a couple months at least. But what's happening is that Google, in their infinite AI wisdom, is assuming whatever the page content is and then rewriting title tags accordingly. There's a lot of SEOs that bow at the altar of John Mueller, who's, Google's King Pumbaa of all things search, right? So I think a lot of people look to what he says, and recently it was brought up or discussed with a little bit more detail from John Mueller about just the title tag rewriting, what the thought process was behind it, what SEOs should be focused on. And I think historically, SEOs have really been, all right, you pick your primary keyword, maybe you have a secondary keyword on a page. Yep. You write the page title in such a way to make sure both of those keywords are included, and then a pipe, and then or a separator of some type, and then the brand name. And that's historically how you kind of optimize pages.
Yep.
What John Mueller recently was talking about is that Google, based on their algorithm and the information of in the Google search, one of the options that you have is people also ask, right? And then it has questions that are relevant or seemingly related. Google, in their algorithm, took some of that information to help imply about what searchers were actually looking for the first time. And so they've been using that data that they've been collecting to effectively help better understand and serve results higher up the first time. And so as part of that process, what Google is now also doing is they are taking their understanding of the page topic and what the page is about, and then they are rewriting a title in such a way that if it is truly the best content, making some minor adjustments to the titles to see if if the person actually searching will then end up clicking on the result or getting the answer that they need. So it's
Interesting.
really fascinating. I mean, there's certainly, I think there's a lot of art to this. It's not, it doesn't seem like it's particularly a science anymore. You know, back in the day for Google search, it was,
Yeah.
yeah, just pick your keyword, put it right in the page title, and boom, you're going to
Yeah.
rank for it, right? And it's that simple. But obviously, you need to have it in the content as well.
Well, you had to write
But
a phrase around it typically, that was
right,
good.
sure,
You had to
sure,
write
and
a
you had to make
headline.
sure there was a certain
Yeah.
density involved. But effectively,
Right.
effectively, that was the way that you would get ranked.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot more focus and emphasis on making sure that the content is understood and that it generally has a kind of central tenet or theme to that particular content on the page, and making sure that Google does understand it. So yes, the use of keywords is still highly relevant, but I think what Google is attempting to do here is to try and better serve the content based on the intent of the searcher, and test their clout for rewriting titles to see how effective it could be.
So what should people do? Should they should people still write title tags? I mean, do we still want to
Of
write a
course.
title tag and put a keyword in it and things like that, or should we just throw up our hands and just say home? Like you see some unoptimized sites that say home on the title tag.
Yeah. Yeah. According to John Mueller, the general recommendation is write page titles based on what the content of the page is about. So
Okay.
that would certainly imply that there still needs to be thoughtful page titles that are put together.
Hmm.
Um, it does also imply that a direct, an SEO centric keyword strategy of put your primary keyword here and then maybe even a hyphen and then a secondary keyword and then your separator and your brand name. That method seems to be a little bit antiquated at this point, at least according
Okay.
to Google.
Yeah.
So I do think, certainly, and again, we're bowing at the altar of John Mueller. So it feels like we kind of have to head in that direction, but certainly just writing with keywords included or not, right? Writing what the page
Hmm.
content is about, and doing it in a
Hmm.
thoughtful way, I think is certainly
Hmm.
still the best approach here. And yes, I would generally lean towards, making sure that your primary target keyword is included in the page title.
Okay. Well, let me throw you a curveball. So I've
Sure.
seen some websites that, where the homepage is mostly graphics and the homepage is more of a launching pad into the interior of the site. So there's
Mm-hmm.
not a whole lot of copy on the homepage that describes what the website is about or what the business is about, that kind of thing. It's really just sort of pick who you are, pick what you're interested in, and then dive down this rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if Google is kind of parsing the content of the page, presumably they're also parsing the whole content of the site. Um, is it maybe put a little more emphasis on creating at least some content then on the page that Google's crawlers can go in there and parse and figure out what the site's about?
That's a good question. It's a little tricky to answer that, I think, because there is some context based on how the actual site or the page, that particular homepage, is built, as an
Hmm.
example. What's also, I guess, a thing to keep in mind is a lot of folks are not typically hitting the homepage or the website upon a Google search if you're looking
Mm.
for something specific, with the
True.
exception of brand terms, right? So if I
Right.
type in
Right.
marketvantage.com,
Right.
assumably we're most
You hit the
likely to hit
homepage.
the homepage because
Yeah.
that's the where they can learn most about us right
Right.
away, right?
Right.
And Google
Right.
knows that. Um,
Okay.
so I think it does contextually depend on what the actual search is, and this is
Gotcha.
where I think Google will continue to refine their algorithm over certainly in the
Hmm.
many coming years, and try and just optimize for serving the best page and the best content based on the search. So
Okay.
if you have a homepage that's divided up for, are you a doctor or a lawyer or, an astronaut, right? And
Hmm.
then you go about from there. Certainly if Google has some contextual information about me, knowing that I'm an astronaut and I'm trying to find out these these things, these astronautical
Hmm.
things, it could try and
Right.
direct me in the right direction before I even hit the homepage, in
Right.
theory,
It's,
and
it's
choose my own adventure.
personalization, which is really nothing new here to really talk about. So is this rolled out
Yeah.
already, or is this coming, or is it building over time? we usually Google sort of launches this stuff like not all at once, but over a period of time. Is that kind of what we were expecting to see here?
Yeah, they so in terms of the title tags, they are definitely rewriting them currently.
Okay.
To what extent is kind of unclear. I think there's a lot of tools out there that are having a hard time tracking some of this performance other than, SEOs are doing a lot of manual reviews and then capturing screenshots showing that there are title tags that are being rewritten by Google. But
Interesting.
it's
Yeah.
not entirely clear at this point how often
Okay.
or how prevalent this title tag rewrite is. At this moment in time, there is no direct method to be able to completely 100% control the title tag. In some instances, for page content or things, you can write specific lines of code in the HTML that says, certainly don't follow, don't index, but
Yeah.
keep this content as is.
Hmm.
And in this case, for the title tags, there's currently no workaround, so Google will
Okay.
choose to rewrite the title as they see fit.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there's not much that we could do at this point, other than if you're if you're thinking about SEO for your website, be considering rewriting the page titles anyways from the perspective of keeping it focused in terms of your keyword and making sure that it clearly conveys what the page content is about.
All right. All right. Well, I think that's what we know, and it sounds like good advice anyway. And great. Well, thanks a lot, Devin. I think that's really informative.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to engage with our content. Whether you're watching on YouTube or subscribed on our podcast apps, we appreciate you taking the time. Make sure to leave a comment down below and let us know any feedback that you have for us. We're always watching the comments and engaging in any way that we can. So if you find this content useful, also make sure to subscribe or give it a big thumbs up. We appreciate it. Thanks so much.